Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Reserved Investments, and thank you for joining me. Welcome to part 7 of my 16,000 subscriber Q&A series. Me and Blue Snaggletooth here. We've been talking about finalizing this Q&A so we can move on to more pressing topics and videos. So I thank all of you that have been joining me throughout this particular series. There will probably be one more video left in the 16,000 subscriber Q&A. Then we're going to wrap it up with a little nice bow, and we're going to forget about it as we move onward and upward. But first, before we get to that point, we got a lot of questions to answer. So here we go. First question, and I want to warn you, this is going to be somewhat controversial. It's going to ruffle some feathers because we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the like. And what I did was I got a lot of questions on my thoughts on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, the new Bitcoin ETF, what I think about that. So pretty much I put them all together here, and there are 3 main questions about Bitcoin I want to answer for you guys. The first is, what do you think about the new Bitcoin ETF, exchange traded fund, for those of you that do not know what that means? Number 2, will it make cryptocurrency a legitimate investment? And number 3, since starting this YouTube channel, has my thoughts on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general changed for the better or the worst? So I want to start with the last question first. Have my views on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general changed since I started this particular YouTube channel? The answer is yes, but unfortunately, it's for the worst, not for the better. I honestly know a lot of people that lost a lot of money in Bitcoin over the years because they do not understand that it is a speculative asset with no underlying cash flows and nothing attached to it other than the fact that people may want to buy it. And that's what pushes its value up. Simple supply versus demand. It is no different when gold, no different with silver, no different with antiques and collectibles in general. If you don't believe me, if you are one of the Timmies out there that comes into the comment section and wants to argue with Reserved Investments about cryptocurrency, about how Reserved Investments does not understand the power of blockchain technology, and you seem to incorrectly assume that Bitcoin has underlying assets or cash flows attached to it, I am sorry, you cannot get past Finance 101. If you can't even get past Finance 101 and accept reality, why would I want to have a discussion or a debate with you? And this is not only me talking. There have been other people, other financial YouTubers, more pronounced than me, whether we're talking Dave Ramsey, who, to be honest, I really don't even like. I just know his thoughts on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, gold, silver, and Pokemon cards or other collectibles happen to coincide with my thoughts and beliefs because they're all rooted in finance. Or maybe you yourself don't like Dave Ramsey. Then maybe you should listen to people like Patrick Boyle or The Plain Bagel, who has another excellent finance channel, or Warren Buffett, or Mark Cuban, who compared Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to that of a Beanie Baby, a comic book, or a baseball card. Speculative assets, much like the ones I've mentioned. I'm not just picking on Bitcoin here or cryptocurrency. I could be even picking on this Blue Snaggletooth vintage Star Wars figure that's from my personal collection, graded AFA 85. None of these items have any underlying cash flows. It's great that this is considered a scarce Star Wars figure that sells on the market right now for anywhere from $1,300 to $1,500 on up, depending on how it's sold, depending on what auction house is handling the piece. But guess what? At any given time, this item can easily drop in value. There are no underlying cash flows attached to this particular collectible. The same thing is true with Bitcoin, any other type of cryptocurrency, even gold and silver. The only advantage that gold and silver have over cryptocurrencies is that gold and silver also have industrial uses, meaning there are other uses for those particular commodities than just somebody parking money in them and putting them in a safety deposit box just in case something happens. Or, again, These are asset classes that are rooted in fear and greed. People get a little bit scared. People are concerned about financial assets. What do? They tend to divert their attention to alternate asset classes and or commodities. When that happens, the particular prices of collectibles, antiques, gold, silver, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin can start to escalate in value. Now, I am not inherently against Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general. If you are comfortable investing in Bitcoin or any type of cryptocurrency, or maybe you want to put a portion of your overall net worth in gold, silver, Blue Snaggletooths, whatever it is, you do you. The problem that I have is with the mindset of a lot of the crypto bros out there, the Bitcoin bros, who have this all-in mentality where they're putting all their money in these particular asset classes without any exposure to traditional financial assets like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, ETFs, or even a slice of real estate. Bitcoin, collectibles, cryptocurrency, antiques, gold, silver, they can make an excellent diversification hedge for a well-balanced financial portfolio, assuming you are either already financially established or on your way to becoming financially established. But they should never, ever make up a large portion of that particular individual's portfolio. If you are someone that just wants exposure to Bitcoin and you want to devote 3 to 5% to your overall financial plan, I have no absolute problem with that. It's just like when I get into debates with gold bugs. If you're somebody out there, you have a hobby, you like gold, you like silver, and you tell me, Sean, I have a portfolio worth, I'll just pull this out of the sky, $500,000, and I devote 3 to 5% of my portfolio to gold and silver, and I sleep better at night. If that's you, I have no problem. My concern is with the Timmies, Kimmies, and Poindexters that fall down the alt-right rabbit hole and enter into a cult claiming that it's all fiat currency, it's all going to go to zero, therefore I should be putting all my money in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and gold and silver and not have any exposure to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, index funds, and or even real estate. In my opinion, that is a recipe for disaster. Another reason while I don't think cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is for me, you guys got to remember, I'm educated in the antiques and collectibles trade, and I'm also educated in business economics and finance. Because of my work in the antiques and collectibles trade, me and Blue Snaggletooth here, we have 20 to 30% of our assets already invested in antiques and collectibles. I don't need any more exposure to speculative assets. Now, I'm okay because I have a higher net worth than most people. Also, 70% of my overall portfolio is devoted to index funds, mutual funds, ETFs, slices of real estate, stocks and bonds, and the like. So I'm okay for me to have 20 to 30% of my total portfolio in antiques and collectibles. At least that's what Blue Snaggletooth tells me when we talk to each other every single night, because I'm completely out of my mind. You guys know, if you watch this channel, I am certifiably crazy. Now, if I wanted to devote 3 to 5% of my portfolio and I decided to sell off some of my antiques and put it in Bitcoin, yeah, I can make a case to do that. But I am not a fan of cryptocurrencies. It is just not for me. It's not something that interests me. So rather than come into the comment section and try to pull me into a debate, why can't a lot of you crypto bros just realize, hey, it's not for Sean. He's really not into that. I'm going to go and I'm going to spend some time on a cryptocurrency investing site instead of reserved investments because this guy doesn't like cryptocurrency. Why is that so hard for some of you to understand? Again, at the end of the day, I'm going to help you out here. You want to be on your way to becoming a multimillionaire. You want to be wealthy. You want to have money. you should be putting together a well-diversified financial portfolio, preferably when you're very young, because the time value of money is going to enable you to take advantage of compounding interest and market returns over the longer term. If you start investing in your 20s in a well-diversified financial portfolio, then when you get into your 30s, 40s, you want to play in collectibles, gold, silver, crypto, Bitcoin, you're going to have the money to do it. The biggest mistake that I see a lot of people on the internet make when it comes to alternate asset investing is they go all in. They fall down the proverbial rabbit hole of the matrix and they get sucked into these false ideas of economics, politics, business, finance, how things truly work. And they start using terms like the whole fiat currency system is corrupt. It's all going to go to zero. You can't trust the government. You can't trust the Fed. A lot of you guys get led by a lot of these false prophets, these false messiahs, people like Andrew Tate and the like. I'm not going to state any more names. And you guys start falling down a very bad, very dangerous mindset that you can't escape from. That is a cult, guys. That's the very definition of a cult. A lot of you guys that are sucked into the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, red pill space, Andrew Tate ideology space, Hustlers University, you guys are in a cult. It is my job to tell you the truth. Even if you hate me, even if you yourself go, I hate that guy, I'm going to do a reaction video to reserved investments and tell him what I think of him. I will probably never watch the video. The video probably won't get more than a couple hundred views because I'm somebody that only has roughly 17,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I know that is an accomplishment in itself. Most people don't get past 10,000 subscribers ever on YouTube. So I know I am trending upward as far as awareness is of this channel and collectibles finance and who I am as a person. But overall, I just want you guys to understand, if you want to try to pull me into a debate, your time would be better spent elsewhere. Continuing on this same rant for a little here, I don't know what it is about people that do not like my content that think coming into my comment section and attempting to debate me is a good use of their time. You guys know where I stand politically, and I'm not going to get political here. I want to be very clear, but I am on the left side of the political equation. Are you aware I can actually watch a Ben Shapiro video and not get triggered? I don't like Ben Shapiro. I agree probably with less than 10% of the content that he puts out. But I can watch one of his videos and I can try to find a point, a tidbit, something that I actually agree with, nod my head and go, okay, that was pretty interesting. I really don't agree with what he is telling his audience, but I don't feel a need to go in his comment section and start arguing with Ben Shapiro. Just like I don't like Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is on the far right of the political spectrum. I am more on the left, as you guys know. I'm not going to go on Dave Ramsey's channel, watch him go on a rant against socialism, whatever that means, and start arguing with him in the comment section. I'm going to go, hey, that guy's a little crazy. He's a baby boomer. He's headed towards retirement. Another 10, 20 years, he's going to be dead. It's not going to matter anyway. What do I want to go into his comment section and make an ass out of myself and possibly him? What's it going to do? It's not going to prove anything. Now, have I already commented on a Ben Shapiro video? Have I already commented on a Dave Ramsey video? The answer is yes. Dave Ramsey did do an excellent video about the risks of investing in gold, how gold is an extremely speculative asset. I did comment specifically in the comment section of that video, and I even said Dave Ramsey is 100% correct here. And I do know some of the gold bugs tried to pull me into a debate. It did not work because over the long term, if you look at the performance of an S&P 500 index fund, it outperformed gold, bar none. You guys need to put your money in real assets if you want to build real wealth. Putting your money in Pokemon cards, Blue Snaggletooths, gold, silver, cryptocurrency over the long term, if that's your only holdings, that is inherently risky. We're going to go on now to another question. I think I answered my commentary on Bitcoin in full. If any of you guys are still unclear after watching 15 minutes of this video with me talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, speculative assets, gold, silver, please let me know in the comment section below, and maybe we will circle back around to this point. But if you're coming into the comment section telling me that I'm wrong and there are underlying cash flows to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, I'm sorry, you need to take Finance 101. Because if you actually took Finance 101 at an actual accredited institution, meaning a college of higher learning, you would fail if that is your thesis. You would never get past Finance 101 to get into Finance 102. Because you can't by nature, because you do not understand what a speculative asset is. Next question. Sean, I would love to hear your opinion on movie props. Okay, from cryptocurrency to movie props. We're really going all over the place in this Q&A. So I do apologize here. Movie props, in my opinion, are an inherently risky investment in the overall antiques and collectibles trade, with few exceptions. Let me give you a major exception here. I don't know if you guys remember this auction, but several years back, the original blaster that Han Solo used in the original Star Wars trilogy came up for bid. It had a certificate of authenticity, and even Harrison Ford confirmed that that was the blaster that Han Solo used in those particular movies. Well, that particular piece sold for over $1 million at auction. Now, if you are somebody that can afford to pay $1 million for one single collectible, one single top tier movie prop, and you bought that particular item, I can assure you, you have a bona fide investment for many years into the future, because I guarantee you there's probably going to be another crazy Star Wars fan out there that would be willing to pay even more than that $1 million to own that particular scarce artifact. That is the exception, not the rule. Most people make the mistake in assuming that any type of movie prop is a good financial investment simply because they're in scarce supply. Meaning, if you look at a lot of movie props, obviously there are only a few examples that are available from each pop culture relevant movie or TV show, whatever it is that that item is coming from, that is being put up for auction. Case in point, those of you that watch Pawn Stars. Many years ago on Pawn Stars, somebody brought in one of the original coconut cups that was used in the Gilligan's Island TV series. It was a movie prop. It was certified. It was 100% legit. That is a particular item that I would never, ever encourage anybody to invest in. Now, obviously, if you have a major attachment to Gilligan's Island, if you love Gilligan's Island, you just want to buy that piece, you want to own it, you don't care about the investment potential of that item over the short term or over the long term, you do you. But what I can tell you is Gilligan's Island came out in 1964. We are in the year 2024. In the year 2024, Gilligan's Island is no longer relevant. Even myself, I was born in 1976. I never saw Gilligan's Island when it originally aired the first time around. I saw it in the 1980s in syndication. That's how I became aware of that particular television show. So I would never put my money in an item like that. And spoiler alert, that particular item, that coconut cup that was used in Gilligan's Island as a prop, sold through Heritage Auctions for a little over $1,000. And in my opinion, the $1,000 that particular seller or consignor got for that particular item was a very good return on investment. Because if somebody came to me and said, hey, Sean, I'm going to pay a little over $1,000 for a coconut cup that premiered as a prop in the original Gilligan's Island TV series, what do you think of that? I would tell them not to do it. So that's a prime example. I do not like movie props overall. Again, there's few exceptions on the higher end. Another example of a higher end movie prop, I don't know if you're aware of this. Again, a couple of years back, the original ruby slippers that were used in the original Wizard of Oz movie, they came up for bid and they did very well. That's an example of a top tier movie prop, where if you have the means, if you are investing in those markets, you can do quite well going after those one-of-a-kind top-tier artifacts. But pretty much for everything else, there's too many out there, or in all honesty, over the long term, they're deemed culturally irrelevant. I mean, even if we look at the market, like I'm a huge horror movie fan, and I do know from time to time at auction, one of the original Friday the 13th Jason masks will come up for bid. But what people don't realize, due to how many Friday the 13th movies were made, and each movie used more than one Jason mask, there is a plethora of those items out there on the overall market. So this may surprise some of you, but depending on what Friday the 13th movie that mask is from and how much screen time it had, most of those masks only sell for anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000, depending on the movie they come from and what's going on in regards to the value of those items when they come up for auction. So really, in all honesty, you would think that a screen-worn Friday the 13th Jason mask would potentially sell for six figures. That is not the case because there's so many of them out there. Be very careful if you are playing in the market for movie props. It is nothing but fugazi in most cases. Next question. Sean, could you kindly do a primer on original comic book artwork? The answer is yes. I have a video in the works where I'm going to be talking about the market for original comic book art versus that of fine art. The reason why that video got delayed is simply I know it is going to cause a lot of controversy. Spoiler alert, the market for original comic book art is really not comparable to the market for fine art. As a matter of fact, I tell most people this. If you want to come in to the comic book market or the original comic book art market, you are better off, in most cases, believe it or not, going after graded CGC comic books rather than original art. The market for most pieces of original comic art is extremely niche, unless if you are able to afford, once again, much like movie props, the top high-end market, meaning you're going after the pieces that sell for $500,000 or more on average. The superior pieces from either the Golden Age, the Silver Age, in certain cases, the Bronze Age of premier comic art. The stuff that gets bidders' attention at auction houses like Heritage. Not the stuff that is available on most websites that sells sometimes on Comic Link, on other auction sites for $10,000, maybe even $20,000. If you're going to invest in that market, you got to be in the six-figure range, in my opinion. Now, I know certain people are going to disagree with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end that commentary here, and you guys can watch for that video to premiere on this channel where I make the case for how to approach that market if you have the means. Again, most people would be better off just going after graded vintage key issue comic books than getting involved in the market for original comic art. Original comic art is not on par with fine art, but it carries the same risk level. Meaning if you have Netflix, you live in the United States, there is an excellent documentary you can watch called Made You Look. Now, spoiler alert, the documentary Made You Look is about fine art. It is not about comic book art, but the risks are still the same and similar in that market. I have seen a lot of people get badly burned by attempting to invest in original comic book art, thinking that because the pieces are limited, they're always going to come out ahead. A lot of that market is based in speculation. More to come when I release that particular video. Next question. Sean, what would you put $5,000 or $6,000 cash in right now? Okay, for me to do this particular question justice, I have to know what you mean. Are we talking over the short term, over the long term? Are we talking financial investments, monetary investments, or investments in the antiques and collectibles trade? I'm going to answer it in many different ways here. If you have $5,000 to $6,000 in cash and you are paying on high interest debt or even school loans, or you owe the IRS money, you owe alimony, you owe child support, please take care of that issues first before you do anything else with the money. Now let's assume that you have $5,000 and $6,000 sitting and you're free and clear. You don't have any high interest debt. So let's say that all that's taken care of. You don't owe the IRS money. You don't owe school loans. You don't owe alimony. You don't owe back child support. You just have $5,000 to $6,000. Money market fund over the short term is going to keep the money liquid. And if it's through a brokerage house, you're probably going to get 5 to 6% at present time on that money. You can't go wrong with 5 to 6%. Even in the higher than normal inflationary environment we find ourselves in, 5 to 6% with virtually no risk, keeping it completely liquid, is a good deal to me. Next, if you want to go long term, let's say that you want to invest for the long term. S&P 500 index fund is your friend. If you wanted to invest in the antiques and collectibles trade, I will tell you right now, there are certain markets that have hit the correction territory if you know where to look. Vintage comic books are one of these markets. Now, obviously, big money is starting to flow through the vintage comic book market again. We just had the record sale of the Action Comics 1 in CGC 8.5 condition, selling for $6 million. There are still some deals if you know where to look. Hint, Bronze, Silver Age, in my opinion. Another market you may want to risk, if you are inclined to do so, market for vintage Pokemon cards. The market is extremely volatile at present time. I do not recommend it overall, especially if we're comparing that market for vintage comic books. But there is still opportunity in that market. Same thing's true with graded video games. Graded video games got slapped in the face with a stale donut due to the quote-unquote alleged market manipulations that went on in that market, especially during the COVID speculative boom. There is still some opportunity that exists in that market. You just got to understand that the market for graded video games is inherently niche, and it always will be. Case in point, if you want to play a game like Faxanadu or Star Tropics, or you want to play Bonk 3 on the TurboGrafx 16, you don't have to buy a factory sealed or graded video game to do that, obviously. So if you're looking to invest in video games, you don't just have to go after graded games and related collectibles. Understand that. It is a very niche market when we start talking about demand overall for factory sealed high grade video games. Whether they're graded by WADA, CGC, VGA, it doesn't matter. Just understand that market is inherently niche. Now let's talk about markets on the antique side of the equation. There's a lot of opportunity in large size paper currency and also classic US coins right now. If you wanted to get involved in that market and you're comfortable playing that market, because remember, they're both mature markets on the antique side of the equation. But if you want to learn those markets, there is opportunity there, even though prices have risen dramatically over the last few years. I will tell you, use caution if you're going after the market for vintage toys. Right now, that market is on fire. Use caution if you're going after Rolex watches or other luxury collectibles at present time. That market was hit hard by the overall crash in collectible prices after the COVID money dried up. Hope that helps. I'm going to take one more question in this particular Q&A series. I just want to make that very clear. There's going to be one more video in this series, but there's only going to be one more question answered in this video. And that particular question is, do you think Lego will try to pick the Bionicle line back up again? And what are your thoughts on the vintage Bionicle line as an investment? Okay, full disclosure, I am not a fan of the Bionicle line, meaning Lego Bionicle, as an investment over the short term or over the long term. In my opinion, there are too many other Lego sets that have a better investment profile than the Bionicle line. Do I think that Lego will eventually go back to the Bionicle line and release more sets? The answer is yes, most likely, because Lego doesn't pay a licensing fee for any of those sets that they own the specific rights to. That's why Lego still goes out of their way to release deluxe versions of like the Lego Castle, or I saw that they have a pirate set that they just re-released. They're trying to bring back the space line. All of those particular sets that they release into the market, even if they're creating deluxe versions, they don't have to pay a licensing fee. When they release a set based on Lego Star Wars or Lego Harry Potter or Lego Sonic the Hedgehog or Lego Comics or whatever it is, they have to pay a licensing fee to that particular property owner, Disney in most cases, especially if we're talking Lego Marvel sets, Lego Star Wars. Disney gets a cut of that. When it comes to their own properties, they save all that money. So it's 100% profit for them if they can sell it. If the sales outpace the cost of developing that set, they will most likely put it into the market for that very reason. So I do see at some point Lego going back and at least re-releasing some of the more popular Bionicle sets. But overall, I would not invest in that line. Case in point, I have a fondness for the Lego Space series from the 1980s and 1990s. I consider that, personally, to be a better investment than Lego Bionicle. It has more potential, in my opinion. There are also too many other licensed franchises out there where certain sets in those lines are going to do better from a return on investment standpoint than anything in the Bionicle line. The Bionicle line pretty much was popular by the people that grew up during that time frame. But in my opinion, it really doesn't have legs to pull in new collectors or investors. That is just my opinion. You may disagree. We'll know how that comes to fruition over the next several years, or even if Lego brings the line back, we'll see what that does to the prices of the vintage original Bionicle line. That concludes part 7 of the 16,000 subscriber Q&A series. Remember, guys, there will be a part 8. That'll be the grand finale. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.